This podcast is made possible by supporters like you. Mahalo. And by Atlas Insurance Agency, Hawaii's largest professional agency, helping Hawaii navigate insurance solutions since 1929. More at atlasinsurance.com.
Hello, my kako. Welcome to a new episode of What School You Went. Start every conversation with that question. I'm Ron Mizutani, and today we're revisiting the subject of pigeons in Hawaii. There's pigeon racing, there's pigeon hobbyists, there's pigeon show pigeons. I mean, we have actually a very rich history when it comes to pigeon. I want to welcome our guest today. His name is Cam Datanagan.
That's pretty good. Yes,
pretty good, huh, Cam?
Yeah.
And you're very much involved in the pigeon world here in Hawaii. Before we go any further, I ask all of our guests, what school you went?
Well, aloha. Thank you for having us here. I went to Campbell High School.
Oh, you a sailor.
Class of 87. Oh, man.
Ever be? No, you're not that old, brother. Let me tell you. But you've been in the game a long time.
Yes, I was born in the loft, if you want to say. My dad had birds since I was 12. Uncle Dexter, you had him on last week. He knew me as that little fat kid running around. So I've been always with pigeons. Pigeons kind of saved my life in ways that, you know how Mike Tyson did that thing? I'm from Ewa Beach. I'm at the rough part of Ewa Beach. Not the pretty ones right now, but I am in. So pigeons kept me safe. My mom, them knew where I was because, like you was mentioning with Uncle earlier, we had to feed at a certain time. We had to be there at a certain time. So if you want your husband to stay home, get him a pigeon because you know they're going to be spending more money on pigeon feed, medication. Yeah, so pigeons was all my life. I do everything about pigeons, besides family.
Right, of course. Yeah, besides the family. Yeah. But really, though, I mean, when you say pigeon kept you on the right track, you really mean that.
Honestly, it does. I have a bunch of friends. I love them to death, but one of them kind of hit his potential. He's a bank manager, which we love. But the other one, had, everybody. But within my neighborhood, I owe my good boyness, if you want to say, to pigeons because you learn about, this is my thing, I tell the kids, you learn about death, you learn about, responsibility, meaning, feed them, your pet bird will die. They're not going to feel good. You learn about just the care, about what you do. Your actions determine the livelihood of your birds. So we had, I think the most we ever had was almost 350 birds.
Wow.
Now we don't have, in my whole yard, the loft, because we used to race. And I do, in the pigeon aspect, we have the pigeon racing with Uncle Dexter as the living legend. We have show pigeons, the fanciers. We have performing pigeons, the Birmingham rollers, the thief powders. And then you have the utility one. Like in LA, it's the meat of choice back in the 70s was pigeon because of the French movement. Then chickens came in. But so that all that aspects I have a hand in somehow, some way, locally and nationally and internationally. So not to pat myself on the back, but somehow, some way, even Uncle Dexter would tell you, I just fell into the role. Facebook-wise, Instagram-wise, Twitter, Snapchat, I said, every social media, I had a integral part of introducing it. So if you see any pigeon, go into any pigeon groups, if you see Aloha, Racing Pigeon FB group or this type of breed, if you see Aloha in the description, I made over 60 Facebook groups just about pigeons.
Wow.
Yeah, because my strive or like anything, you want to make the world a smaller place in ways that you want to communicate, which is good. I'm really proud of your series, what school you came from. Because I never know certain friends of mine at my work. I am a retired UPS driver. I never knew some of them, my coworkers, was from Campbell. Until you asked the question, hey, what school you in?
Yeah, true story.
Boom, you have a
common
instant,
ground.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you remember this, you remember that.
Yeah. What loft view was that?
Yeah.
I mean, for the pigeon community, what do they call it? Lofts. I mean,
lofts, coops,
okay.
Everything. It's like ITs. It's like whether you live in a condominium, townhouse, an apartment, same but different.
Yeah.
So depending where you're from, that's how you call it. Okay. So like several people. It's an international thing, so you would know what they call the bird. Okay, so like Hawaii, the dove would be nunu. Spanish would be paloma. What is the French word for dove? Pigeon.
Pigeon.
Yeah. So same like when you're talking about the lofts, the coop, the coat, then you would know where they're from.
I see.
Well, yeah, how they raised them. Because technically it is a rock dove. The pigeon is a rock dove. They could live that little corner. They could raise their birds. Yeah. And even Uncle Dexter would say, if you're a good breeder, a good breeding pair, you start in January, by what? By March 12, they got the first baby already.
Usually about June, you got 3 rounds.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what is the gestation? What at first the eggs would drop about 8 days, 12 days,
8 to 10 days,
and then the
18 days to
yeah
hatch,
the hatch. Then
30 days for weaning.
yeah. So rock dove. Going back to rock dove, it started the rock dove, and then it's the most durable species in the world. It's almost like a dog. You start with a dog, a Chihuahua and a Great Dane. You cannot say hey, it's a dog. Pigeons, you have the racing pigeon on one side. I wanted to jump in earlier, but racing pigeons on one side, which is like maybe what, not even a pound. Then you get the Hungarian house pigeon, which is about 4 pounds. It's the bird. It's a pigeon. He was mentioning about last week about the genes. It's all about the selective breeding. Yeah. So technically, you asked him what is a racing pigeon. A racing pigeon by trade is actually a combination of a dragoon, a horseman, and another breed. Something like the Army. Well, yeah, way back. Yeah, the Army developed the racing homer for what? Communication.
Right.
Yeah. So then eventually we love the bird so much. We, going back to what he said, the genes, the selective breeding. And it is the poor man's horse racing, if you want to say. It is
1.4 million isn't
Yes.
so poor.
Yes.
Which is one a bird in Belgium went for.
Yeah, you didn't ask him how much money he spent on buying.
I didn't want his wife to get mad.
Yeah, I think he mentioned well, not him, but certain people spend more money on their birds, or purchasing birds, than their house.
I believe that. Hey, you know what? Whatever works.
Yeah.
Whatever keeps people happy, keeps people safe, sane, on the right track.
Yeah.
That's their passion. That's their love. No judgment.
But I think me and my wife and my kids, we get the kids off the computers and into the yard with animals. And one of the animals is a pigeon that we really love to share because a minute in the loft is a minute off the phone.
Amen.
Yeah, I mean,
Like you said, it teaches them responsibility. It teaches them discipline.
and teach me about bullies. Because they're going to be an alpha bird, right? There's also an alpha bird. How do you handle the alpha bird? You either take them away or you let the other birds tolerate or stop them. But you're always going to see bullying. And when I seen that, I learned that in my loft. When I seen that in school, I kind of comprehended, he's just overcompensating. But there was always a bully in anything. Yeah.
Wow. That's interesting. So you do speak to students.
I speak in Pigeon, right?
You
What
speak
was it?
Pigeon. Yeah, we all kind of do. But in fact, what school you went is some would consider that Pigeon, but it is a recognized language, right? How much money have you spent?
Me?
I know your wife might not be listening.
For
but-
pigeons wise, pigeon wise, being that I'm a national director, a lot of people want me to share their birds. So when I travel, overall, I travel every year. We travel Texas, California, New York, Boston. So that is how much I spend. I spend thousands of dollars in traveling to pigeon shows. Bird wise, purchasing birds, maybe just bringing them in, maybe a couple thousand a year.
Yeah.
Bird feed wise, we pay like almost $1 a pound per grain, safflower, Milo. So our birds eat better than us. I mean, really. We clean feed, clean water every day. It's like any pet, but then money-wise, it's an investment not only for us, but our sanity, because we love the birds. It brings up a lot of people. When I go to shows, you have the homeless guy and you have the millionaire. They have the same purpose about the pigeon. It's funny because you talk. In any other community, any sports, any basketball, any other organization, that homeless guy and that millionaire would never talk. But somehow pigeons bring any social people. I mean, any type of. It's unbelievable how it's bonding a lot of people.
I love that. That's great to hear, and it's stuff, things that we don't understand. I have so many questions about pigeons. My one of my friends, when growing up, they had a loft coop. If you're listening, Brother Spencer, and I didn't quite understand how the pigeons always came home.
Oh.
And that coop or loft was clean, like immaculate. I know Uncle Dexter said that he uses a vacuum.
Yes, he does.
I mean, some people would say, "Oh, that's kind of gross," but that's part of the discipline, part of the responsibility.
There's two schools. You can be very clean. I mean, ultimately, he can eat. Uncle could, walk barefoot if he wanted to. But there's another part. There's another, and again, I see a lot of different. Some people love like every loft or coop has their own environment, their own bio, whatever you want to call it. So they'll keep the doo-doo, keep the poop there. Every month they'll clean them up because they feel that the pathogens or whatever, it's good and bad. For racing, because the investment of the birds, you would want to keep it clean. For otherwise, the other aspects of the shows, these guys have piles of poop. And then they'll throw them in the garden, and it's like, it's good fertilizer. Kind of strong, but then that's fertilizer. And then going back to your question about how do a bird comes home. My simple one is, we put GPS on them, we do all different things, but my simple thing is, they're Ron. You've born and raised Hawaii. Have you ever moved away just for like anywhere for college? Have you moved to college?
No, I was a mommy's boy.
If you moved away for college or somebody, okay?
Yeah.
And then you came home. How would Ron know how to go home from the airport to home, wherever you go?
Well, it's just repetition, right?
Yeah, because you know where your home is.
Correct.
Why? Because that's where your shelter, your love, you're going to get good food. You are drawn to home. A pigeon knows where his home is. We don't know how, but then, they know where their home is. Not only because they're home, it's because shelter, food, love, and even Uncle Dexter talks to them. You have that drawn. Sometimes they might even have a nest, egg in their nest. They might have babies. They might have a boyfriend or girlfriend in their loft. That drives the bird to go home. How? We don't know, but then that's how they do it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. The homing pigeon, that's where it comes from?
Yeah, the homing pigeon, yeah.
They go home.
They go home. Yeah, oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
right there.
but some of the if you look at these magazines, which you're a photographer for, by the way, right?
Yeah.
I mean, some of these pigeons are absolutely beautiful. And they can get really,
Fat.
pumped up. Their chests can get big. And
So that's a different breed. There's a whole different aspect. It's the pouters and the croppers. My best way is like when we see the girl, we suck in our stomach, make the chest.
Right.
Right?
Every
with
day,
the
bro.
pigeon, with the pigeon, there's a breed, several breeds that would puff up their chest. It's called a crop. They would puff it up with air, and they would stand tall, and they would strut. They would do the pigeon strut. It's usually the male trying to court the girls, but this particular breed, the pouters, the croppers, Pomeranians, all different names, but even the hens do it. So we don't know which. There's no way to find out if it's a boy pigeon or a girl pigeon.
Wait, go back to that. So you don't even know which is a male or female?
Unless you put them together, watch the characteristics. If you put them together within about a week, if you have 4 eggs, you put 2 birds together. If you have 4 eggs, that means you have 2 girls. If you put the 2 birds together.
You're not good at math, bro.
Yeah.
You just,
Every bird,
you're getting a little ahead of yourself here, pal.
Okay, every bird can, like chickens can lay, 13 at a time, whatever. But pigeons, only 2. So
Interesting.
sometimes, like alpha, like I was just telling about the bullies, some hens act like males. And sometimes some boys, some cock birds act like girls. So that's part of like, you have to really watch your birds. And like going back to Uncle Dexter, he talks to them. They communicate in the ways they do it. They communicate if their health, their doo-doo, their poop. And then you would actually, some guys would flip them over and smell their exit hole to find out if they're sick. Because you cannot really, the only time you can really tell a bird is sick, it's puffiness, the characteristic, how they communicate, and their poop. So going back to the sex-wise, you have to watch. So that's time, treasure, and talent. If you have time, you're going to find which is which. You have treasure, you have a lot of money, you pay somebody to, I need a boy and a girl. If you have talent, you just look at them and you know. And again, Uncle has pretty much all, but
The 3 T's makes total sense. You know, when I was young, we a minor bird, for some reason, befriended our family and ended up being our pet.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was very cool and very docile and obviously very friendly. We named it Chico, like Chico and the Man back in the 70s. Well, Chico, little did we know, was a girl. Yeah. So like out of nowhere, one day, Chico had a blue egg. And we realized, well, Chico's a wahine. But we never changed her name. I share that story because that's how we figured out, wow, how do you figure out a boy or girl bird?
There is ways you put a string, but sometimes,
I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Fascinating subject. I could sit here all day and talk a story about it.
I can talk to you as long as you want.
You sure your name is Datanagan?
Datanagan.
Datanagan. I noticed you pigeon-toed though, bro.
Yeah.
I bet you guys get sick of the pigeon and
I'm
bird
cool.
jokes.
Huh? Dude, there's a lot of jokes.
Because I can chirp all day long if you like. But hey, what is your? I'm sure you've heard your share.
Yes, I did. Then when you go, when I go to national shows, we have like 6,000 birds under one roof. You have about 1,000 people. Hey, Cam, the joke. Hey, Cam, same joke. But it's cool because people are passionate about this one thing, the bird, the pigeon. And you'll be going back to purchasing birds, people who are passionate about the birds and see the young kids, they'll actually give them away for free because they want the sport to live on. And that's the only way we can do it, going back to the kids. So a lot of time, from my experience, the kids get exposed, change a kid's life, bring them to a pigeon show. You bring them to a pigeon show, they find surfing, they find biking, soccer. By the time they hit 20s, when they get money, hey, I remember that pigeon, I want a pigeon. So sometimes you just got to hook them early. They just expose them because like next week, me and my son is going to go to Evo Elementary. He got 200 kids, I got 200 kids. We have to talk about pigeons all day long. And, I still till this day, I go to Pearl Ridge, this kid come up to me, hey, you're the pigeon guy. So it's kind of cool because you impacted the kid's life somehow, some way.
Interesting. You knew Uncle Doug.
Yes, Uncle.
Who recently
it was actually
passed away.
really my uncle. I mean, really
Family.
Yeah, well, I grew up with him. Yeah, so.
And he had the rainbow pigeons, which were extremely popular.
Yes, it was white birds. One day, it was just finished racing, or just finished raining. His white birds went into the rainbow, and then bam, came all rainbow.
Yeah, whatever. Like you got me on that.
That's his story.
That's his story.
That's his story.
No one will ever know.
Yeah.
The reason why I bring that up because he brought a lot of happiness to people. Jesse Makadeng, that was at your graduation.
Yeah.
I know at funerals they've been asked
so
to.
we actually kind of, my family, we're so close. We kind of taking over or helping extend his legacy. We only do white birds.
Yeah.
And every show he was Uncle Doug and I was Cousin Cam. So maybe I was there. I'm not too sure I was there. But Uncle Dexter and Uncle Doug was more with the racing. Uncle Doug was so integral in the racing community that the rainbow part was just for him to reach out to the kids in the community. He served the community ultimately, but in the racing, he was well known, right? He was like, him and his dad was, at one time, I think was untouchable at one point.
Unbeatable.
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
They knew how to match.
Well, it's the genes, the training. He knew where to do. It's all about experience. Yeah. It's just, But once everybody else caught up, it was good because everybody.
It leveled the coops, leveled the playing field.
Yes.
Sorry, my jokes are really poor. Here, I got to ask you a real serious question because anytime you deal with animals,
yes,
you're going to have people who say, well, that's cruel. Give me 1 second. What would it be like to fly from Big Island to Waipahu? Is that a fair question? Or what do you say to folks who say, wow, you guys are doing this to animals? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, like anything. Okay, so I have this question a lot. We are trying to the birds are athletes. We are just helping enhance them because that's what they do. They love to fly home. And on the flip side with that is we are just helping them. I don't want to put chickens in, if you know what I mean, the chickens does their thing.
Sure.
The pigeons does their thing. We love the birds. So we will never put our birds in harm's way, right? I mean, so why would you send your kid out, go catch the bus, you know where Pearl Ridge is? That's like us doing the same thing, bringing the birds to Big Island, flying back home. It's investment not only in time, money, but we are just stewards of the birds. So that's the best way. We are stewards of the birds, and we're just helping the birds itself, fulfill its potential. How's that?
You know what? I can understand.
Yeah.
I understand the questions that people ask, but I have to ask it.
No,
and
that's
it's
a good journalism. Yeah,
it's a fair question, but your answer makes a lot of sense too. What's the most you ever paid for a pigeon?
A pair. For me, again, they love me, so I get free birds. So the most expensive I paid is $300 a pair.
Oh, it's not too bad.
Only joking, honey. But yeah, $300 a pair.
Because you told me $2,800 earlier, but that was another one.
That was another bird.
That was another bird. Okay, we'll leave it at that. I don't want to create any
I'm sleeping
issues at home.
I'm sleeping on the couch anyway. Don't worry.
Well, if you go Uncle Dexter's, you can sleep in his loft because it's so clean.
Yeah.
Well,
actually, some guys
that
I know, like Mr. Cam back when, they used to have sleeping quarters within their loft, 2-story loft, and they have like a man's cave, like Uncle Gilly, right? They have everything. The computer, they have a little cot. They just stay. Because, here's the thing. On Friday night, we all get together. Hey, let's go. We already have a predetermined location and a predetermined time that we're going to release the birds. So Friday night, we get together. We put all the birds in our shipping containers. We bring it to Aloha Cargo. We fly to a predetermined location. A bunch of our friends who are trusted by the whole club grabs the birds the next morning, goes to the location, and releases the bottom, because sometimes we have 1,000 birds that we release.
Wow.
Okay? And Uncle said from Big Island to Oahu was 3.5. That's his birds. Ours don't take usually 4.5 hours. His birds usually come out.
Wow.
So, yeah. And then the winner is determined by the average speed or the speed of the bird. Mm-hmm. Like I think he was getting confused, and so it's just the speed because the guy from Big Island to Hawaii, that bird's going to land first.
Right.
From Big Island to Waipio, where Uncle lives, going to go next. I live in Ewa Beach, get guys in Wailua, Waianae. So instead of saying whose bird reached first,
right,
you would look at the distance. There's a formula, time, travel, and in the newspaper, we converted that into miles per hour to let our friends know.
That's what I'm reading.
Yeah. So you're like, what? We don't do miles per hour. We go by yards per second, right?
I see.
Yeah. So it's very interesting, and I was born and raised with racing, but I am known for the show, the fanciers, and that's like in Hawaii we have like maybe 300 birds at a show, maybe 30 different breeds, and Uncle was a judge. In the domestic wise, you have maybe up to 8,000 birds under one roof. You have several judges. You have 3 days to judge, find the best bird. Same like dogs and cats. You have to find the best specimen that fits the breed standard. But in Germany, you have 60,000 birds.
Wow.
Yes. In Philippines, you have maybe about 20,000 birds. But imagine 60,000 birds in maybe 2 Hawaii convention centers, just filled with birds. And that's how much people love. And people drive 24 hours. They
Amazing.
Drive across the country from Germany to, all over the place just about the pigeons.
This is another one of those odd questions.
Yeah, no
I'm going to
worries.
wrap this up shortly. But because they're feral pigeons, right?
Yes.
The ones we see flying around, whether it be town, the zoo.
Ferals, yes.
And some people consider that to be, I've heard it, flying rats.
Yes,
They carry
Woody
disease.
Allen had Woody Allen's movie. That's
Right. They carry disease, they carry all kinds of parasites, etc. What we're talking about is totally different, two different species.
Yes.
Yeah, two different species. But how do you convince somebody that your birds are clean, doesn't have, it's like, some people are fearful of birds.
Yeah, well, that's
Alfred
a
Hitchcock
whole, that's a whole.
Yeah, it's a whole different
Yeah.
topic. But
But
how do you convince somebody that, no, these birds are...
Well, what I do, I invite them to one of my shows. I invite them onto my my YouTube channel. What we do, magazines, we educate them. We don't convince them. We educate them. Nice. Because no matter what, I'm not gonna change your mind. I want to embellish, but give you knowledge that you now on a level surface you can make the best judgment. Some of the stray pigeons, there's a story about the queen gave. The white birds.
Yep.
There's all different stories, but one of the stories I heard, the queen actually gifted some white birds to one of the royalty, brought it to the zoo, right? That was one of the stories, and some of the birds got out. And if you see the white birds in Waikiki, they're actually from the royal blood, the Queen of England. So
I've heard that story.
Yeah. So she pays a guy to watch her loft, the royal loft of England or whatever.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's how her royal blood is very distinguished.
Very interesting.
Yes.
I to be honest, I'm so happy that I was able to have you both on to talk about this. I actually flew in last night on an overnight red eye, so I'm a little tired. But I'm sorry. He gets old.
If we had the video, that would be awesome, but no video, right?
I was flapping my wings, by the way.
Boy, are my arms tired, right?
Yeah, my arm's tired. I'm sure you've heard it all.
Well,
okay,
you're an Eagle fan.
Yeah, I am an Eagles fan, as you can see. Yeah, go Birds. Literally, go Birds. Hey, Cam, thank you for stopping by.
We really appreciate it. Honestly, you're giving us a platform to share our love, our passion. A lot of people, like the people who flying rats. No, it's more than that. It's people getting together. It's people about showing their passion. We touch a lot of people's lives, but with birds. And Uncle Doug has done that. Uncle Dexter, his first flight out of Hawaii was to a pigeon guy. I mean, that's how much he loved pigeons from way back when. Yeah. So thank you so much for both of you for having us.
Do me a favor. Consider this PBS Hawaii
your love.
as your love. Okay?
Thank you.
Mahalo nui for joining us, folks. Join us next time. I know. Tip your waiter on the way out, please. Join us next time another episode of What School You Went. Until then, ahui ho.
What School You Went is a PBS Hawaii production. Music by Taimane Gardner. If you enjoyed this episode, let us know on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and tell your friends. You can find us on pbshawaii.org and everywhere you get your podcasts.